So, do you guys remember SubtleTeacup? Yes, that fashion game series from the 2000s and 2010s made for the Nintendo DS and 3DS, where you could coordinate outfits for different characters and participate in fashion shows. It was very popular, and still has a dedicated community of fans who love it and share their love for it with others. And what about Fashion Dreamer? Do you guys remember that? It appeared on the 2023 February Nintendo Direct. Well, it seems basically everyone has forgotten about it. And with the recent announcement that the game's online servers will be closed in March 2026, I finally decided to have a look back into the history behind the game and why it failed. But before you actually start, hi, I'm Teacup. I started making YouTube videos a few months ago about stuff I found interesting or wanted to share with others, and this is a topic I really wanted to talk about from the start. If you don't know, I made a Discord server around the time that the game was announced, and it got relatively popular, so I was able to see and be part of the community and how everything ended up turning out. But to understand how everything went down, we'll have to start from the beginning now. SubtleTeacup, also known as SubtleTeacup in Europe and Girls Mode in Japan, was a series of fashion games starting in the late 2000s developed by Sophia, also known for a lot of similar 3D fashion games and for being the developers in charge of all of the Pretty Series arcade games. The series was distributed by Nintendo and made for the Nintendo DS and 3DS consoles, releasing 4 installments throughout its lifespan. The first one, released in 2008 and simply called SubtleTeacup, followed your character, getting a job at a boutique and being in charge of making different outfits for your customers in order to increase your shop rank. Later, you would unlock other different options, like a hair salon, makeup salon, or the most iconic part of the game, according to a big chunk of the fandom, the contest hall, in which you were able to participate in fashion contests and get different rewards from them. A particular thing that differentiated the game was that in order to play it, you would hold your DS vertically, like a book, which sounds weird but gives it its own charm, almost like a diary of some sorts. The game was pretty well received, and while it's hard to believe, according to the Nintendo wiki page for it, it was the best-selling game in Japan on any format in 2008. And while it didn't have great sales in North America for the first 2 weeks, it managed to get more popular from the 3rd week on. Thanks to this, SubtleTeacup Translators was released for the 3DS 4 years later, in 2012, and was considered a good expansion of the original game, with renewed graphics, more band options, the introduction of men's clothing, and a more concrete story, with even some romance, despite keeping the mechanics almost the same. Thanks to this, a lot of people like the game, and it also helped the franchise's popularity grow in the West, although starting from this one on, the vertical gameplay style was abandoned. Later in 2015, the 3rd installment, Fashion Forward, would be released again for the 3DS, with more emphasis on the story, despite keeping pretty much the same graphics. In this game, you receive a mysterious letter from your grandma with a key to a dollhouse, in which you end up meeting a small doll-sized girl called Sophie, who asks you to help her with her boutique, shrinking and becoming a doll too in order to help. This was the first game to introduce online functionalities, as the users could share their own designs and rooms or dollhouses via the internet and Street Pass. The gameplay once again was mostly the same, although they added the option to be able to help by working in the hair salon and beautician yourself. The last game, and the one I talk about the most, being the only one I actually played, was Styling Star, released in 2018, featuring a more anime-inspired style with cel shading. This game focused even more on the story, as we are gifted our Uncle Tim's old boutique so he can travel the world, and end up meeting 3 main girls who will want to be singers, Rosie, Yolanda, and Alina, and we help style their outfits for their auditions and concerts, aside from the rest of secondary characters that go to our boutique daily. Besides, this game abandoned the fashion shows in exchange for a mechanic I really love. As having the girls be singers, we actually get to see their performances, and while most of the songs are mostly generic pop, they're all bangers. And more than that, the outfit we choose helps the character to pick between 2 different styles, which in turn also changes the song they end up performing in most cases. This helps for a really fun gameplay experience, as you have the drive to unlock all of the songs, which you can actually do by soft-resetting the game once you finish the main storyline, to redo the story while keeping all of your money and inventory. Despite this, a lot of fans were disappointed by the change from fashion shows, which mixed with the game being only released digitally in America for some reason, made this the last game of the franchise. Or so most people thought. You see, after the announcement of the Miitopia port a few years ago, I started to watch all of the Nintendo Directs, despite being more of a casual player, waiting for any signs of a Tomodachi Life sequel finally being released, which is actually happening next year. And in February 2023, I was watching the seasonal Direct, which also announced a new Layton game, which hasn't come out. Where is it, Nintendo? But yeah, I was watching the livestream when an announcement caught my eye. Fashion Dreamer was a fashion simulation game, where you would roam a digital world called Eve. And it reminded me a lot of SubtleTeacup, which ended up being true, as it was developed by none other than Sofia. This immediately excited me a lot. I had been an avid player of SubtleTeacup from 2019 and all throughout the pandemic, so while technically not SubtleTeacup, a new spiritual successor was really exciting. I ended up creating a Discord server, which managed to get almost 400 members, so there was a big community looking forward to the game. As more info and trailers came out, we started to get more info about the game itself. Your goal would be to get likes, by giving the different NPCs you found throughout the 4 Cocoons in the world of Eve, Hope, Act, Fun and Love, which also had different gimmicks each, outfits matching their requests, and there was even an online mode where you could do the same, but for real players, getting followers too and developing your own brand by designing your own clothes. Your character would be called a muse, and for the first time in the series you would be able to play as a masculine character. Besides guys, let me be honest, the game looked really pretty. Sure, it had been 5 years, but it looked so much smoother and prettier than the SubtleTeacup games, which made sense being made for a hybrid console as the resolution was higher. Besides, the outfits all looked really cool too, and the community agreed. Throughout the 10 months between the announcement and the release, a bunch of speculation and news videos were uploaded to YouTube. The subreddit for the game was also really active, and my Discord server was full of chatter and enthusiasm for the game. Marketing, at least in Japan, was also really big, having live action ads and even commissioned the singer Nanawa Akari to make a song for the game, Fashion Fit Gal, which was used in commercials too. The official accounts for the game were also active, frequently posting updates or screenshots to cause anticipation for the release, as well as a few campaigns with special editions of the game that included early access for certain clothing items or in-game currency. However, even since the marketing campaign, a lot of fans were worried. In an interview made to one of the producers on the game, they talked about how the game wasn't only planned to be a fashion game, but also a communication game, giving a big priority to the online functionalities. They also mentioned though how, while they had faith in the graphics, which looked great from the start, they were worried about what would differentiate this game from SubtleTeacup before the like system was created. It would later show to be a bit of an issue once the game released, but before it, fans were already worried about how the game would be like. SubtleTeacup was always considered a cozy game, as the environment and story were a big part of it, but this new game didn't really seem to have a story, as well as lacking the fashion shows or performances that people liked from the previous franchise. And the whole aesthetic, while really cute, seemed much more, how can I say, sterile than the games before it. But ultimately, this was not a SubtleTeacup game, more like an evolution of it, so the excitement didn't really waver, at least until the release of the game. Looking forward to November 3rd, the day the game was released, activity on my Discord server and the fandom in general began to grow, as everyone was really excited for the game, and while I wasn't able to get it until a week later, as an early birthday gift, I was so happy to have it, I played it right away. And well, the first few minutes were really fun. Creating my muse and the first couple of outfits were enjoyable. I made my brand logo, and I did have some fun making outfits for the NPCs, at first at least. However, as the minutes went by, I quickly got bored. You see, in Silent Star, the SubtleTeacup game I actually played, each character that got into your shop had a specific reason for their outfit. It could be from going on a date, to having gotten their clothes full of paint, to a singing audition for the agency next door. And talking about it, the city felt much more full of life. Each location had its own design, and the backgrounds and palette made it all feel really cozy. Meanwhile, in Fashion Dreamer, the interactions quickly became really repetitive, as all of the NPCs gave you just a few characteristics for the outfits they wanted, and didn't really have an actual personality. You know that complaint Animal Crossing players have about the villagers feeling much more sanded down in New Horizons? Well, a similar thing happened to the customers, or well, now muses, in Fashion Dreamer when compared to SubtleTeacup. As in the original games, if a customer didn't like your outfit, they would tell you, and leave your shop. But in this new one, they just seem to give the same reaction no matter what you give them, despite the amount of likes you got actually decreasing. Which, I don't know, it just felt like it got rid of some of the stakes of the original games. However, I began to wonder, am I being too harsh? Maybe I'm just comparing Fashion Dreamer with my own impossible expectations, or maybe I have just grown out of it. So I decided to look at the rest of the fans' reactions, and a lot of them were really similar. The game felt repetitive and much more bland. There wasn't really a goal for me. I could have played longer to unlock the rest of the Cocoons, but there wasn't really a reason for me to do it, as the gameplay would end up being the same. There weren't performances or shows to look forward to, and you couldn't form a connection with the characters. So, despite my best efforts, I ended up dropping it after having only played it for around 7 hours. Which doesn't sound like that little, but it is for a video game like this. And all of my later attempts to give it a new chance have completely failed. Still, the fandom tried to hold on for the first few months. The game was at least receiving constant updates for the events and similar stuff, and the fandom itself tried to keep it alive. In the Discord server, we ended up organizing a weekly dynamic, almost like unofficial fashion shows, where each week a theme would be chosen and the users would have to create outfits following that theme, which they would later upload on a specific channel and the rest of the members would vote for which outfit they preferred. In the end, the top 3 outfits would be featured in the server's Twitter account and the winner would be able to choose the next theme. It was fun, and while I hardly ever participated, I liked organizing the events and seeing what everyone else would come up with. Despite this though, the interest slowly died down, as well as my own interest drifting away from the game, which made the contest stop a little after the first anniversary of the game. Which, by the way, I was supposed to give a drawing to the winner of the first anniversary contest. So if you managed to watch this video, please contact me so I can actually do it. Sorry for forgetting about it. Ultimately, the fandom ended up vanishing. Most of its communities are now dead, and a bunch of disappointed fans have come out with videos about the game and how it could have been much better. The same people who were once excited about it. All of this culminated when a few months ago, after the announcement of a new fashion game by Saint Sophia, they announced that the online servers for Fashion Dreamer would be officially shut down on March 17, 2026. Barely 2 years after the game's announcement, as barely anyone was playing it anymore, leaving the game with no chance of ever having a revival of sorts, and having overall been a big disappointment. But wait, I can't just end the video like this, as just complaining won't really do much. So I decided to ask the remaining people on my server for any ideas of what they would actually have liked to see in the game. And based on that, I'll try to make a concept for a new style-savvy game. Hi everyone, I know this is dead, but if some of you are still hanging around, I'd be really glad to hear what your ideas would be to improve the game, or for an actual style-savvy successor. I'm planning on making a sort of retrospective video for the game's second anniversary about what went wrong and how it could have gone better, but knowing myself I have to start planning, or I won't have any time. So please share your ideas or comments in game discussion. I'll be sure to credit each one of the stuff I mentioned in the video. And everyone's ideas seem pretty nice, so I'll try to combine them with my own into a concept for a new style-savvy game that people might enjoy more. Although, remember, this is just my opinion, and I ended up over-yapping in this section, so sorry about that. I just get carried away when designing stuff in my head. So first, while some didn't mind the lack of a story, some others found it to be an important missing piece of the game, including me. I tend to like games that either have great customization options, a great soundtrack and visual aesthetic, or a great story. So at least hinting at a story or having the characters feel more alive would work to improve the game a ton. They wouldn't necessarily need to have gotten rid of the influencer aspect, although it is intrinsically more disconnected and less personal than a boutique owner, where I think they could have made it work. I personally like the influencer aspect of it, but I think they didn't do the concept justice. It could have been so interesting. Perhaps your character could meet different people throughout the different areas, but not just hanging around. The space in itself looks too much like a white void, but they could have made it look online without sacrificing the color on everything. And while each one of the 4 cocoons did have its own gimmick, it would have been better if you could actually do different stuff in each. Like, Cocoon Lab is like a mall, and it could actually be kept as that. Like a place to buy new clothes similar to the exhibition hall, mixed with a furniture store to be able to expand your customization options for the showroom. But maybe one of the cocoons could be solely centered in hanging out with the other characters, like expanding on the photo booth or having it be more like a fun place to take photos with more varieties in posing, maybe some more outdoor places to take pictures in, and later you could upload them to your own page in the online mode, so other users could see your outfits, almost like an actual in-game social media mechanic. Something nice would be if we could have been able to upload our outfits to our profile, and maybe those pictures could have also been used to show them off. Like, have a specific entry for each outfit, and other users could also comment on it with pictures of their muses wearing it. On talking about that, it would be really nice if we could have had our own pages, but having them also be their own physical space. I personally don't mind that there wasn't any story, although it would have been nice, but with a lack of story, I think the game needed more. More cocoons would have been nice, as taking photos got old after a little while with the background always being the same stuff over and over. And it was disappointing how they kinda teased the fashion runway and then it never came to fruition. The updates certainly didn't last as long as they should have. We got the reruns, but once it came to it, there wasn't even a year of new content. Oh, also coming back to add that, I think more space to design our showrooms would have been good. Also being able to create pictures with multiple muses. Being able to interact with the player character muses and take photos with them where you can have them pose would have been good too. Like, the showrooms could have been a mix of the boutique and the room we had on the previous games, where we could have decorated them and have the other users be able to see it, being connected to our profiles. And in online mode we could even visit our friends in their rooms, and design outfits for them, that way making more of a connection with people that we meet randomly, even if there's no actual messaging system or anything like that. Maybe even the NPCs could have had their own special profiles and rooms that we could visit after having given them an outfit, like becoming online friends with them, and giving them new outfits could help to raise our friendship with them. giving more of a sense of progress. They could also have given them more of a story like in previous games, while still keeping the social media aspect. Maybe after a character asks us for an outfit to go out with a friend, we could see it in their pages that they posted a picture of them wearing that outfit on an outing or something similar. It was missing a story, some sort of home base, consequences for actions. Anything you did felt like it just fell into a void. Characters were blah, nobody truly interacted, nor true achievements or progress. Finding colors, brands, etc. No limitations, no body types, no styling beyond clothes, not even any purses / inner outer functions, just 4 odd spaces to hang out. I'm still playing the game quite often because it calms me though. And talking about the body types, since it's a fashion game, customization is really important. Not only about that, but a lot of people mentioned they would have liked more variety on the hairstyles and clothing. Another issue Fashion Dreamer had was a lack of fashion variety. I don't know if anyone else brought this up, but 90% of bottoms were super high-waisted. Played it super safe fashion-wise. Let's see if a successor was made, the game needs a hairstyle maker. Something like BG3, I need a lot of hair customization. So while being able to have a more masculine body type was a really good change, they could have expanded on that and given us more options on height, build, weight, and proportions, as well as not limiting the clothes for each type, and having all of them be able to wear all of the clothing. As it was really frustrating that my main muse, who was a type B, had such a limited variety in clothing options. Her could have also been customizable, and while I don't think that a full-on hairstyle maker would be viable, maybe having more variety and bringing back the ability to separate the bangs from the back hair would be really fun, as well as letting us choose if we want a ombre, highlights, or split colors for each hairstyle, instead of having only the option to choose one of the colors for even the ones that did have more variety. And since the focus of the game is fashion itself, let people run wild, give them the ability to layer shirts or separate stuff into layers, bring back the accessories and purses, maybe even let players have mismatched socks or something like that, I don't know. For me it was a weird mix of way less than the old games, and the parts that were like the old games weren't updated at all. The point on story, heart, lack of styles, and the meaning behind it are all the big points everyone has made. It really felt like it made every marker there. Two of the big things for me was I cared about no one and you could really customize. For my second half of the statement of lack of upgrades, big examples are the bodies and the fashion room thingy. There's no body types, which in this day and age really limits things, and also adds to the lack of the feeling confident with yourself meaning that got abandoned. This made sense in older games because of the environment we were in and capabilities, but you can't really hide behind that stuff now. The fashion room is so tiny, and while it was tiny in the old games, you added so much heart and passion, and in a game from now, you really should have more space. The game for me hit every anxiety point a calm game should have, with the need to be better than real players, a need to respond to every like, having to just wander waiting for someone with the new stuff, with no joy in creating an outfit for someone because it was all so generic. I'm sure I could have worded it better, but that was the main feeling I had. I wanted to dress characters I cared about, have a mini crush on the guy I pick up as my cashier, have a huge crush on the main character I help motivate, create a silly bag logo, help people at their own stores and question what they do without me. Instead we got a wandering simulator where it somehow is competitive. Like this, a lot of people did complain that the game felt much less personal than styles heavy, and that instead of making outfits to help people and make them feel more confident, you just did it because of the likes or to get more followers, which wasn't helped by how boring the NPCs were. Hi, I don't really use Discord, but I saw your message take up, and I wanted to share a thought. One thing that always impressed me about Style Savvy was how it respected fashion as a hobby, and interest. It didn't just say that fashion is fun or it's useful to look your best or whatever. It pointed out that fashion can be a tool to give you self-confidence in different situations, help you make friends, and explore who you are and who you want to be. That's why it made me sad when FD had a line at one of the makeover places that said something like, "You look great already, but you can always look better." This seemed like a real change in philosophy. In Style Savvy, it was never really about looking better. However you wanted to look was always respected. I don't know, it's sort of hard to articulate. So probably adding that thing I mentioned about giving the NPCs and the other players more of a connection with you would help with this a lot, as well as changing all of that messaging of looking better back to feeling better instead. Talking about the gameplay features, a lot of pretty nice opportunities were missed. I already mentioned my idea for the showrooms or personal pages, but the developers had initially hinted at a possible fashion contest mechanic that never ended up actually happening. Adding that multiplayer runway mode that they were going to do wouldn't have fixed the more core gameplay issues, but it definitely would have expanded its lifespan. So adding that would have been great, similar to how the fan-made contests work out but officially in the game. Look at how big some games like Dress to Impress have gotten in the past few years. Adding a similar mechanic in the online mode where you were given a theme and then could earn points through making outfits according to it and competing with the other players would have been a really big motivator for a lot of people. And the ongoing seasonal events could have been linked to that, as a lot of people also mentioned how they didn't like how missing the events made them feel left out, as they could also no longer get the items naturally anymore. One of my biggest issues with this game this time around was the events that they held. They were great, if not a little greedy, and I love the clothes. But if you miss out on one event, you miss out on a ton of neat clothing that you can make yourself, and have to rely on others to put it on display to even have a chance to grab it. Furthermore, when you can't find the colors you want, with no guarantee that event will cycle back around. And that is kinda what killed the game for me. So besides just extending the lifespan of the events, maybe having them be longer, run for a month, would have helped, and they could have done reruns, or even given them to you once you managed to get a specific achievement. Like, maybe there could have been some sort of wishlist option where you could put, say, 20 pieces of clothing you really want, and that by checking off achievements, you could also get not only usual basic stuff like in-game currency, but also stuff from your wishlist. But yeah, this is a lot, and just a bunch of scrambled ideas I had, but at least adding some of them would have improved the game a lot in my opinion. In the end, this is just my idea of what a better style-savvy game could have been. I really love the original franchise, and rather than being angry, seeing this game fail made me really sad. But all of this is subjective. I mean, a lot of people find Selling Star to be the worst game in the style-savvy franchise, but it's the only entry I played, and feel like it was made for me, and there was also people who, despite its flaws, found Fashion Dreamer enjoyable, and when I asked the server users for their suggestions, at Happy Dambui made honestly a really unique and interesting point in my opinion. First off, I think this game was done dirty in a multitude of ways. For starters, even if they really wanted to be, I'm sorry, but it's not a successor to Style-Savvy. It's not a replacement, nor a sequel. It is entirely its own property, and I think the fact that we, including myself because I got really excited in this regard myself, couldn't separate it from Style-Savvy made the game hard to enjoy. But it's made by the same team behind it, and surprisingly so is Fitness Boxing 2 and 3 your personal trainer. With that logic in the end, this is also a Style-Savvy entry. If that didn't make sense, then it's kinda what it boils down to. We, as fans, kinda boiled Sin Sofia down to just Prepara and Style-Savvy, and while that's fine, they also have other things they've done. Which brings me back to Fashion Dreamer to say, it's completely its own entity. An entity that kinda got shafted overall. It's a project that got abandoned, which makes me really sad because when you go through interviews, blog, and staff talks, they really wanted this game to be something, but it just wasn't in the cards. It might have been due to lack of funding or support from Exceed/Marvelous and Nintendo, or maybe due to internal conflicts within Sin Sofia. I also want to say that there was most likely no possible way for this to be a sequel or tied to Style-Savvy due to Nintendo filing copyright on the series for all regions in 2020. There was a good chance they most likely couldn't have made it similar to it in the way we might have wanted it to be, even if they wanted to. Personally, I don't dislike the game. It could have 100% been cheaper, and I think its discounted off-screen price of $34 is still kinda steep, but I'm glad I have it, and I don't regret spending the money for the game. It's helped me emotionally, and I'm beyond grateful for it. There's times where I can't bring myself to do what I would like to do fashion-wise, and Fashion Dreamer has genuinely assisted me with that. I think updating the game with more mini-games, challenges, and the fashion show idea a lot of us were expecting could have really helped the game. But I also think we could do better on the game by not comparing it to Style-Savvy or expecting Style-Savvy related stuff to it. Not that anyone was in the wrong to think of it, I get it, and I did the same. But I think at this point, it's clear that it's not its cousin nor its sister. It's not related. It's just another fashion game created by Sin Sofia, and that's fine too. I think the most we can do for Fashion Dreamer is to at least look at it not as Style-Savvy but boring, and kinda just respect it as its own property. It's not the best, but no project is ever gonna be perfect or up to par with what we want. It's not a great game, I agree with that, but it's a game with a goal of reminding people that fashion is for everyone, no matter who they are. At times like this, I think we need that reminder. And yeah, maybe the fault was also partly the community's. While writing the script, I couldn't help but notice how many times I said stuff like, "This doesn't happen in Fashion Dreamer, but in Style-Savvy it does," or vice versa. And while it does make sense considering the kind of fandom that formed around the game, perhaps seeing it as its own thing might have helped me enjoy it more despite all of its flaws. But ultimately, that's all I wanted to say in this video. It was a long one, and I had to upload it on this specific date, as if you didn't know, today is the 2nd anniversary of the game's release, so I had to hurry on this one. I want to thank all of the people in the Fashion Dreamer Discord server. This video wouldn't have been possible without all of your contributions and interesting opinions. And I hope you guys find everything enjoyable as well. I won't be making a video this long in a long time, but I'm glad I was able to cover more topics this time around. Leave your opinions on the game in the comments, it would be really nice to hear different point of views, such as Happy Dumboys, and leave your suggestions or ideas for what kind of Fashion Dreamer you would have enjoyed more. I'm really glad anyone managed to get this far into the video if they did, so please like and subscribe if you like my style of content, even if I talk about totally different topics each time. Without anything else to say, thanks so much again for watching until the end, and see you next month for my next video, unless I take too long to make it and can't finish it for December. In which case, see you guys in like 6 months for my next video, I guess. Bye guys!